market to pay for the lawyers, and once you publish that work, you can't patent it. So you need an industrial partner to come along. And in the UK, there are no CAR T-cell manufacturers at an industrial scale. So we have University College London that will manufacture CAR T-cells, but our local hospital in Liverpool, Clatterbridge Cancer Hospital, that has only ever done 3 CAR T-cell transplants, that's it. They paid £250,000 per sample, and that's all they could get. They could only get 3. All of the stem cells used in our region are brought in from Germany. So there isn't a stem cell manufacturer in the UK that exists on a national scale to be able to industrialise this. So our aim is to work with a lot of different institutions, a lot of different NHS, and allow researchers to take the research that they've got, their CAR T-cell therapies, their whatever cell therapy they're working on, we will manufacture for them and we put it into clinical trials. And we know that they work because within a few days we do start to see a reduction in tumour size across a whole range of different diseases. And our goal is to further this through biomanufacturing. So the way that we did it. The first company in BiograD was BiograD Diagnostics. As you've heard, we were first to market mass tested in the UK. It was ridiculous. The way that we did that was, in fact, I'm going to come back to that in a minute. We had mass tested for COVID on the market before the UK government did. We had the clinics in Heathrow Airport, Liverpool Airport, Manchester Airport. We had some in around London, some in Manchester. And then we realised very quickly people were buying out all of our samples, so we were first on the government register. We white labelled our products in 94 other companies, which meant we took our name off it, that other people put their name on it and they resold us. We got the Premier League, we got the boxing, we got golf. That was a very good year for us. We did a lot of sports and activities. We also got the 2-week contracts. So the biggest holiday company in the UK, we actually did all of their products. Previous to that, and after that, we then ran clinical trials for companies wanting to do diagnostics trials in the UK. And we have clinics on site, we have labs on site, we have a biobank. So this is a trial that we have for, it's a company just not far from here, like 45 minutes away. So AccuBio was bought out by Origene. Origene they're a multi-billion-pound company. They own the Asian market for the COVID pandemic tests. And they've spent around 200 million across the north of England and Scotland on buying up other assets. This is one of them, and we run clinical trials for this company. Right, the reason I did this, I needed ISO 15189 accreditation to be able to do a blood transplant from one patient to another. So when we do our stem cell transplants for our patients, we needed this accreditation. That was quite a lot of money and quite a lot of work. So what I did was I made sure that once I had that asset for a diagnostics company, that I could commercialise that and then I charge other people for using my labs. And that's how we sort of made our money. We are the only company I've ever heard of, so generally it takes about 18 months to get ISO accreditation, so a company like Pfizer would take about 18 months. We did ours in 8 weeks, and we did the COVID top-up in the same 8 weeks. And again, this all goes back to our BiograD education. That is the only reason why we expanded so quick. The second company that we grew, so the second brand, BiograD Biobank, I needed a human tissue authority license to bank my stem cells. So stem cells come under HTA, CAR T cells come under MHRA, so different accreditations for different therapies and patients. I needed a HTA license, so I opened a biobank, and I needed to bank 10,000 samples a year to make it commercially viable, so to keep it running. In the first 5 weeks of opening this company in January 2023, I banked 261,000 samples, and in the first year we banked 500,000 samples, and again, that is through all the work that we did with BiograD education. But we were collecting umbilical cords and placentas because that was our source. When we're doing our stem cell therapies, we're getting them from umbilical cords and placentas. But we also wanted menstrual blood. This fantastic work that we're doing with Parkinson's, where we can take menstrual blood stem cells and potentially utilise these therapies for patients with Parkinson's. Absolutely mind blown. I definitely recommend Googling some of this work. The issue was our ethics boards, our all-male ethics boards, didn't really want to approve menstrual blood collection. They thought it was a bit icky, a bit disgusting, women wouldn't donate. And then when it was approved for April. I have no words. It's a monthly. So in my frustration at men on ethics boards, it's not on the slide, I decided to open my own research tissue biobank. It's a separate license, so it's a research tissue biobank. I own the ethics license. I've already now been pre-approved for loads of different diseases. It means that I can go out and get my own patients. I don't need to ask for permission anymore. We can convert our ethics to other people, which makes us much easier to deal with. So an NHS trust or a university can come over and ask us to do their clinical trial. We can recruit patients and take samples straight away, which is very exciting. So that's the biobank. The third company is BiograD Prenatal. So it sounds like a weird thing to add to a company that's doing clinical trials. Prenatal engagers are women that are pregnant. So this is our supply chain. So we opened BiograD Prenatal, we put in baby scanning clinics and genetic testing clinics in our labs. We put big floor-to-ceiling windows between our reception and the labs. So when women come in for their baby scans, they can see what we're doing in the labs, they can see into our biobank. It's a great way to engage women. So instead of throwing their umbilical cord in the bin, they donate it to BiograD. So we pay them for their umbilical cord, it's very little stress on them, and they can donate their cord to us. We then strip that cord into 3 products. So the actual cord itself, which we can use for skin graft work, the serum, which we mostly use for exosome work, because there's a lot of research in exosome work, especially outside of Europe, and then the stem cells that we can use for the therapy, so the women can see how they can donate. This brand has really blown up. So in Liverpool alone, these are some of our nurses, we are collecting around 110 to 130 umbilical cords a month. This will go up to 300 umbilical cords a month this month, because we're engaging from Lancashire and Cheshire. We've just signed exclusivity with Philips. So Philips own an app called Pregnancy Plus. 84% of pregnant women in the UK engage with this app. And so through the app, they can volunteer to donate their umbilical cord to BiograD when they give birth, and then through the app, they can see what's happened to their cord. We've just been contacted by Boots to open 120 Boots stores around the UK, so 120 clinics. So we have a collaboration with Guy's and St Thomas's Hospital for early diagnosis of endometriosis. There is a trial going on in February, so I don't know if any of you know about endometriosis. There's currently a wait time of, it's a couple of years, and there's around 1 million women in the UK waiting for an endometriosis diagnosis. So we have a clinical trial starting in Guy's and St Thomas's in February, with 35 women being fast-tracked through that, and if that works, we'll run that out as a partnership with Boots through our baby scanning clinics that will be around the UK. And then in addition to that, we have a womb lining study in collaboration with Coventry and Warwick University, which again will run through our partnership with Boots. So we're really building quite a big women's health brand, mostly because actually we want to engage with women's health. So that's the main company. We did actually launch only yesterday BiograD Therapeutics. It's a huge collaboration between 35 stakeholders. That should be in the press tomorrow. That's been quite a significant investment. Right, my second company. In 2021, I got sick and tired of competing with men. I don't know how to phrase that any better. It's all right in science, right? I didn't really find much gender inequality in science, but in business, I certainly experienced it. So to give you an example, my local science park, I was a tenant at for 10 years, had 66 companies in it. Can anybody guess how many of those 66 companies were owned by women? Go on, shout out. One. Almost 2. BiograD and Orca Health. Only 2. 64 male-owned companies, 2 female. We both left. And I'm going to leave it at that. That's all. We left. So there is a science park in Liverpool that's for the guys, right? The guys can go there. They can pay £2,000 a year for their parking. They can walk 20 minutes to the train station. They can keep doing what they're doing. But I got really, really angry. And during COVID, we made a lot of money. And so I decided, you know what? I don't know if I can swear. I was so angry that the ecosystem for scientists and entrepreneurs and people that were starting up was just pitched against us. So to give you an idea, right, lab rent is around £50 per square foot. A square foot is a very small amount of space. It's tiny. You pay an extra £30, £40 for your charges on top of that. You've got your rates on top of that. Lab rent is so expensive. So if any of you decide that you want to own a startup at any point, your lab rent will kill you. Then on top of that, you can have a partner in science parks. Now I don't believe science parks are like around here, but generally they're in the middle of nowhere and there's no train station, which means you have to have a car, which means you have to be able to afford a car, or they are right next to a train station but there's nowhere to park. Ours, joyfully, in Liverpool had neither train station nor parking. It was a bit of a nightmare. So I decided I was going to build my own science park. So the building on the left is our first building, that's our labs, clinics and biobank. I built that in 2021. The building opposite, we went our biobank expanded, we needed more space, which is completed on that at the moment. The building in between is our train station. So that is on the main line between Liverpool and Manchester. I own all of the land, so